Good morning and welcome back to Constellation Station. I'm Nicole from the Cincinnati Observatory, and here at Constellation Station, we like to do three things. We like to learn a little bit about constellations, figure out where we can find those constellations up in the night sky, and then we figure out how we can make these constellations in our own home using creative, fun activities. And today, we are doing another episode of our monster constellations for the month of October this year. And this monster constellation has sort of been on my agenda for a while because we had a request from my good friend Kelsey, who also works at the Cincinnati Observatory, that we cover this constellation at some point in our program. This constellation is Cetus the sea monster, or Cetus the whale. It depends on what culture you're talking about and really how you classify sea monsters, right? Because whales are huge. So if you find whales to be kind of big and scary, then maybe you think it's a sea monster too. But in ancient traditions, it's not a whale, it's this big scary sea monster, and we actually see recurring themes of Cetus the sea monster in a lot of different cultures. So I chose a particular part of the constellation and probably the most popular way to connect the dots, but remember, like always, these constellations aren't cut and dry. We can use our imagination to maybe add different stars or even see a different picture when we're looking at our constellations. Remember, even Cepheus kind of looked like a house, so it's okay if we don't see it exactly like a sea monster, or even if we don't connect the dots exactly in the same way. So let's go ahead and start connecting the dots of Cetus the sea monster today. Cetus is going to take up our entire constellation station, from this side all the way over to this side. And I want you to imagine that the head of our sea monster will be over here, and our body and tail will be over here. So the way we're connecting the dots, it does take a lot of imagination. Sometimes people imagine the sea monster with a really long neck, and that helps us see this part as maybe the neck. Or as a different part of the sea monster. And if you're seeing this as a whale, you might be mostly looking on this side of the picture. So we'll start over here with our sea monster's head. And today I'm connecting our dots, going back to our original string that we used from the beginning, just to kind of go back and make things a little easier. Remember, we used glow sticks last week and that was crazy. So we'll start here on the tip of the head and connect over to here. So we have about the top of our head done already. And we'll use multiple stars for one string. Oh, and we'll connect it all the way over. It's pretty impressive. And we missed this star up here. There we go. May need to add this little bit of the string over here. We can finish connecting the dots that way. So far we have the head of our sea monster. I don't know about you, but I don't know a lot of sea monsters that have just a head like this and then a skinny little neck. So this takes a lot of imagination, I think. So we're down with the head into the neck and going into the body of our sea monster, all on this side. The nice thing about this constellation is that Cetus is coming right over the horizon when we see it at night. And so, just like you might imagine a sea monster peeking out of the sea, we get to see our sea monster Cetus kind of peeking up from below the horizon. So now we're going to connect to the rest of the body over here. Need a couple more pieces of tape here. And then this star at the bottom is actually kind of disconnected. So we're gonna make this the body, and you can think of that as the tail, or maybe if you're thinking of this constellation as a whale, this whale could kind of be upside down, and that could be the spout coming from the blowhole of the whale. However you want to use your imagination. I think that it's kind of funny that we're making a really big sea monster on my little constellation station, because of course we'd also have to imagine that our sea monster was much bigger if we wanted it to be like a monster, right? Little tiny things in the sea aren't scary, like little seahorses. Those aren't really thought of as monsters, right? But it's okay, we can use our imagination and pretend like this sea monster, instead of just being on my wall, is taking up my entire house. That at least makes me feel like it's more of a monster. In fact, when I think of whales, I think of very friendly sea creatures. But if I think of this as maybe being a sea monster, that does seem pretty scary, doesn't it? We just have one more string. And all of our stars of Cetus, the sea monster, are connected. Now, sometimes, and this one, I forgot, goes to here. That's why I ran out of string. There we go. That looks a little better. So Cetus, the sea monster, includes all of these stars right here, but we can sometimes connect all of these together. So even though I have that one hanging down there, sometimes we add more stars right here to make up more of the body of the sea monster. You can take this collection of stars and make it into whatever you want. And for monster constellations, I think a scary sea monster or a scary whale, or even a friendly whale, might be a good choice. So we can find this constellation coming up over the eastern horizon right at 9 p.m. And so if you live in a place where there's a lot of houses in the way, or there's a lot of trees in the way, then you might want to wait until about 9:30 or 10 to try to find Cetus, the whale. I was just so excited to talk to you guys about it that I wanted to find it right when it came out at a time that we could see it at night. So around 9 o'clock is when you'll be able to start seeing Cetus, the sea monster. And you can see it's kind of on its side, so it'll be coming up over the horizon, out of the water, and we can kind of imagine it coming up and being kind of scary like that. So if we want to use our imagination with having this as a super scary monster. Like I said, there's a lot of different stories about Cetus the sea monster and a lot of different traditions, but if you remember in Greek mythology, this sea monster is the one that was out to get Andromeda. Remember, Andromeda was set up as a tribute for her people because her mom, Cassiopeia, she wasn't very smart, and she kept talking about how beautiful she was. And so because she was talking about how beautiful she was, the gods were so mad that they made them give up Andromeda as tribute to the sea monster. But luckily, our sea monster didn't get Andromeda. They're both safe up in the night sky for us to see as constellations. I hope you guys share your constellations with us, and we'll see you guys next Thursday for our last episode of Monster Constellations. We'll see you then.